Welcome today. We're diving into the modern toolkit that really makes React development so much cleaner and honestly more powerful. We're talking hooks and advanced components. If you're looking to build apps that are just slicker and easier to manage, this is the toolkit you've got to master. Let's get right into it. You know the feeling, right? You're wrestling with state. Project that's spread all over the place, or you're passing data down through what feels like a million layers of ROS. It gets messy and it gets messy fast. But what if there was a set of tools, each one designed to solve these exact problems? Here's our game plan first. We'll quickly touch on what makes this a new level for React. Then we're going to open up the hooks toolkit and see what's inside. After that, we'll look at component libraries, and finally we'll wrap it all up with how this helps you build smarter, not harder. For the longest time, React was all about class components. The big shift to functional components brought with it this revolutionary idea. Hooks. They basically let us use all the powerful React features right inside our simple functions. Okay? So think of this next part like we're opening up a toolbox. Every single hook is a specialized tool designed for a very specific job. The real key to mastering modern React is knowing which tool to grab and when to use it. So let's take a look inside. Come on, we've all been there. You've got this one component with like 5 different pieces of state, and they all update each other in really complex ways. Trying to keep that logic straight can be a total nightmare. It leads to bugs, headaches. There's just got to be a better way, right? And here it is. The solution, useReducer. This hook is literally designed to tame that kind of complex state. What it does is it centralizes all of your logic into one single function. We call it our reducer that handles every state update in one clean, predictable spot. And this shows the process perfectly. Your component dispatches an action, which is basically just a command saying, hey, this is what should happen. The reducer function grabs that action, runs the right logic, and then returns the brand new state. It's this clean, predictable, one-way state flow for your data. Super organized. Oh yes, the classic pain of prop drilling. We've all done it. You have some data at the very top of your app, maybe some user info, and you need it way down in some deeply nested component. So you pass it as a prop from one component to the next. It's so tedious and it makes your components way less reusable. And that's where useContext comes in. This hook lets you create a sort of global data bubble. You just provide the data once at a high level in your app, and then any component, no matter how deep it is, can just reach out and grab it directly. No more prop drilling. It is absolutely perfect for sharing things like themes, user authentication. You name it. What about things that happen outside of the normal render cycle, like fetching data from an API or setting up a timer? That's what useEffect is for. It's the real workhorse for handling any side effect, which is just a fancy term for any interaction with the world outside of your React component. Then you've got its more specialized cousin, useLayoutEffect. Now this one fires at a very specific moment. It runs after React has updated the DOM, before the browser actually paints those changes to this screen. And that timing is absolutely critical for certain visual tasks, as you're about to see. This comparison is so important. Look, 99% of the time useEffect is the one you want because it doesn't block the browser from painting. It keeps your app feeling fast. But for that rare case where you need to say, measure a DOM element size and immediately update something based on that size, like positioning a tooltip just right, useLayoutEffect is the tool that prevents that annoying visual flicker. The useRef hook is another really unique tool in the box. It has 2 main jobs. First, it gives you a way to get a direct reference to a DOM element, which is perfect for things like managing focus on an input field. And second, it lets you keep a value that can change over time without forcing your component to re-render. That's super handy for things like storing timer IDs. Now imagine you have a function that has to do a really heavy calculation, like filtering or sorting a massive list of data. If that function has to run on every single render, it can absolutely grind your application to a halt. We need a smarter way to handle that, and this is where useMemo comes to the rescue. It memorizes the result of that expensive calculation. It's just a fancy way of saying it remembers the answer. Only rerun the calculation if the inputs it depends on have actually changed. Otherwise, it just gives you the last result back instantly, saving a huge amount of processing power. Finally, the ultimate power move, making your own custom hooks. Once you find yourself repeating the same bits of logic over and over, maybe it's a mix of useState and useEffect for fetching data, you can bundle all of that up into your own reusable hook. This right here is how you build a truly scalable and easy to maintain code base. It's a game changer. So we've covered the tools for all our logic. Now let's talk about the pre-built parts for our user interface. This is where a good component library comes in. It's like having a warehouse full of ready-made, high-quality UI building blocks. These libraries break down the UI into really logical categories. You have your fundamental components for displaying data, like your tables and cards. Then your components for data entry, like forms and inputs. And then you have all the navigation components that help users get around, things like menus and tabs. Just as important are the feedback components, your models and alerts. Those are absolutely crucial for a good user experience. And finally, components that ensure your typography is consistent. All those statistical elements like progress, ball or loading, spinners that communicate what's happening behind the scenes. Having all these pre-built pieces saves you a massive amount of time and keeps your entire app looking and feeling consistent. So there we have it. We've unpacked the whole toolkit from the low-level logic of hooks all the way to the high-level UI of a component library. Let's kind of bring it all together and see what this really means for you as a developer. Here are the key things to remember. The hooks are like the engine and the gears. They're the internal logic that makes everything work. They manage state, side effects, and performance. And the components, they're the pre-built body of the car, the UI building blocks. When you put them together, you get clean, powerful, and elegant solutions to common problems. And that's really the big takeaway here. This isn't just about learning a few new functions. It's about adopting a much more effective way of thinking about and building applications. You are now equipped to build apps that are not just powerful, but are actually a joy to work on and maintain. So I'll just leave you with this one thought. You've seen the tools. You get what they're for. The only question left is, what are you going to build first?